Well, 5 months into the chaotic protests in Hong Kong, I'm sure you heard about it, government authorities have officially withdrawn the extradition bill that was at the center of the uproar. At the same time, the murder suspect whose case prompted the bill has been released. Let's bring you up to speed on this. So in April this year, Hong Kong introduced an extradition bill meant to address the case of a man from Hong Kong who is accused of murdering his pregnant girlfriend. Here he is right here. He murdered her, or he's accused of murdering her in Taiwan, and he was released this week on other charges. But the bill would have also made it possible for criminal suspects to be extradited to mainland China. That did not sit well with many in Hong Kong who have been protesting now for months. But the demands of protesters have since grown to include a call for universal suffrage and an investigation into alleged police brutality. So I sat down with a BYU Chinese professor who has lived and worked in Hong Kong off and on for decades. Here's what he had to say about it.
You know, there's been lots of attention and the world's noticed. And, you know, it's complex. Nothing is simple when it comes to these kind of things. Well, Hong Kong's an interesting place because it was carved out because of the Opium Wars in the 1900s, and it was given a long-term treaty, and it had a 100-year treaty. So 1997 was a seminal year where Hong Kong became again part of mainland China, but with special status. There's always a natural tension because you have the basic law and you have the post-97 agreement to work with, and it gives Hong Kong 50 years of nominal independence, or according to their own basic laws. So they go by different laws than mainland China does, and they have local leadership. But yeah, they still ultimately, of course, they have to report to China. And Hong Kong's been historically apolitical. In fact, running up to 1997 and the changeover, they were famous for not caring at all about politics. And now you see this massive political movement. Well, what precipitated a lot of this was a number of months ago, it was over an extradition law. That they signed an extradition law that they could send somebody back to China for trial, but it was not so well specified, or maybe too specified depending on the person's view. And people worried then that they could, without cause or without legal process, take a dissenter and just send them back to China and prosecute them. So then the question is, what are the protesters wanting ultimately? Now again, they're not monolithic. They're different people, have different views. But the argument mainly has been indirect pressure. Well, and they've been overtly using U.S. symbols, if you've noticed. They've flying U.S. flags and even singing the national anthem. So they're tying it really closely to American ideals, which is interesting in a lot of ways, right? But on the other hand, critics in mainland China saying that it's sort of tantamount to sort of fomenting unrest with American ideals. And so that kind of imagery hasn't been welcome in mainland China. I mean, I have a lot of friends there, and they talk to me about their views of it. I worry a lot, you know, that sometimes these things can blow up into uncontrolled violence. But there's been a fair amount of restraint, I think, on both sides so far. And hopefully that continues and comes to a good end, because if it breaks up, who knows? You know, it's a little scary, and I know a lot of people who fear for their friends in Hong Kong.